John Graff speaking for Employers Council of Mendocino County, representing approximately 200 businesses and somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 employees and growing. We are for privatization because we believe at this point that you're going to be forced to do that anyhow as a board of supervisors based on the financial climate that's in our county, in our state, in our country, and globally. I believe that Mendocino County has done a fairly good job with their spending. I don't want you to over-exaggerate that statement. I think you can always do better. But when I compare this county to Lake County and other counties, which I do a lot of research on that, and I compare it on cities, I believe that this Board of Supervisors has done a good job in the last couple of years of trying to control spending. However, you've got a revenue problem. You've got a huge revenue problem. And you're carrying a debt behind you that's large. So what I'm saying to you is you have a situation, these numbers I'm going to give you next were put out by your WIB board for the county. Last year there was 530 industrial jobs lost in Mendocino County, and the number one growth that they had in the county, the number one measurable growth in the county of jobs was government with 130. So what I'm saying is when you look at where your revenues are at, when you look at where the debt that you're carrying and the economic climate that we're in, you're going to have to privatize. And I'm saying that the sooner you can come to that conclusion and start taking action on it, you'll be in better control of that decision. As the economics get worse, you'll have less and less time to make those decisions. And you may be forced to make decisions that may not be the best because of the pressures that you're under. I'd also like to state that I've known Jerry Ward for over 10 years. I want you to know that in the business community, he has an impeccable reputation. And I think the other thing that's very, very important is that his employees will tell you the same about him, that he's an honorable businessman and he knows what he's doing.
Okay, other members of the public wishing to speak to this item on possible direction to analyze proposal solid waste of Willits to operate South Coast Transfer Site. Other members of the public? Okay, second call, no one coming forward. Close public comment. Back to Supervisor Pinches.
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask Mr. Parker that you say you're from Missouri and you want to be showed. I'd like to invite you to come to the 3rd District and we'll take a little tour of how the trash business works in the 3rd District with no county subsidy whatsoever. It's been doing that way for about 12 years now. So I would encourage you to take a ride with me and I'll show you how it works.
Supervisor Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I had a comment, but to Supervisor Pinches, I with all due respect, I think you're mistaken. I think there are absolutely subsidies going on in the 3rd District, and if need be, we'll have our Department of Transportation or Solid Waste Division comment. Specifically to Covelo, yes, I would like them to come forward, actually, because this has been placed out as something that I think is very provocative. So please come forward, Mr. DeShield. So what's the subsidy that the county currently provides to Covelo?
30, I don't have the numbers, 37? Scott might remember. $3,100.
$3,100 a month. We write a check to Mr. Ward for that, don't we?
That is correct.
And so in addition, do you think there are any other subsidies operating in the North County?
Well, just the rent is nominal at Laytonville.
Nominal, Laytonville. So in other words, there's a private-public partnership, but you know, the private sector is given that opportunity to operate a for-profit business because of its dealings with the county. Would you say that's accurate?
I would.
Good, thank you. And I do support Mr. Ward, and Mr. Graff's comments I think are right on point in terms of Mr. Ward and how he conducts himself. But back to Mr. Parker's comments, which are the original ones I wanted to make, I think that he's absolutely correct. We have to have a cost-benefit analysis. It's got to cover insurance. It's got to cover employees. It's got to cover employee retirement. It's got to cover the operational long-term investments. It's got to cover the infrastructure. All of these things are part of doing the job that we're elected to do, which is make the most cost-effective and best decisions for the long-term viability of the county, operating as a business. So, you know, I think that we're gonna be doing that. I think that come January, the board is going to look at absolutely every detail to make the right decision. And, you know, all those things need to be put out on the table. My comments initially to Mr. Ward is I think that only on the South Coast, and I don't have the documents yet on the entire countywide procedure, but with respect to South Coast, he's got a clear advantage with that contract with Potrero Hill. So if the county can avail itself covering the employee issues, the environmental issues, the structural issues at the site, if all of those issues can be addressed, I think Mr. Ward has a clear advantage to providing a better service, potentially, and a more cost-effective one for the residents of the South Coast. So I would be interested in looking at that, but I think Mr. Parker's absolutely right. Every aspect of that does need to be fully vetted, and I expect that you're gonna be an integral part of that process. And, you know, I've worked with your department in terms of the fee analysis, trying to get information for the Fort Bragg site. We spent many, many long hours. It was a very contentious and difficult process, but I felt like your financial people were really on board, and they came up with the information. They worked long and hard to get us the information we needed to make the best decision. So I trust that you will do that again. Thank you.
Supervisor Pinches?
Well, I need to respond to the subsidy in Covelo. Yes, the county does pay Jerry Ward for the transportation because of the distance. That's been a board policy for the last, going back about 14 years now. And that policy was made based on the distance, and also because Covelo and its proximity from the Mendocino National Forest, which don't allow trash to be disposed in National Forest, so it all goes to the business people in Covelo. So it's a way to help offset those, basically, federal charges, you know. But let's just say the given of the $3,000 or $36,000 a year of that subsidy, how does that compare with the other general fund cost of $300,000 to $400,000 a year that we've been doing that in the rest of the county? You know, how does $35,000 a year compared to $400,000 a year? I don't know. Last time I done math, the $400,000 a year was a bigger cost than the $35,000 a year.
It's all a but we gotta call it what it is. It's a subsidy.
Well, that's another discussion the board can have as far as the rates, but I don't think you condemn solid waste to Willett